when I was in the IB program, we had kind of small cohorts for each class. So the sense of community within those classes was really strong, and the teachers were really passionate about making sure that every student succeeded in those classes.
Hey, it's Teru from Our Kids. I recently spoke to Ella, who graduated from Glenlyon Norfolk School in 2018. She spoke very highly of the school's small class sizes, the excellent teachers, and her high school education, which focused heavily on the sciences. She's now pursuing pharmacology at UBC. Check it out. Could you start by giving us a summary of what you've been up to since graduating from Glenlyon Norfolk School?
So I attend UBC now, and I'm in the program of pharmacology with a minor in immunology slash microbiology. And I've also been working, so I've done a summer studentship with the Beast Children's Hospital in their nephrology department. And I've also been involved in like science outreach, and I'm currently working for Genome BC, which is a funding agency in Vancouver, producing videos for them. So lots of science communication and science.
Okay, awesome. And how do you think attending Glenlyon shaped your decision to attend UBC and to pursue pharmacology?
Well, through the science fair program at GNS, I was able to, I guess get my first experience with science research, as well as science communication in that kind of forum. So in a more professional setting, or semi-professional setting in the context of a science fair. So I think that definitely shaped my interest in wanting to pursue a scientific career.
Okay. And if you could think back to your high school days, if you had a high school resume of your time at GNS, what would that look like? Which would list your accomplishments, your extracurriculars, all that kind of stuff?
So in high school, I was involved, like I mentioned, in the science fair program, and I was also involved in the school newspaper. And working as what was called the ambassador prefect. So I kind of arranged tours of the school and connected new students to existing students to try and like foster a sense of community with the incoming students. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then before you attended GNS, if you can think back to those days, how and why did you and your family decide on you going to GNS?
Well, my family originally lived in Singapore, and I went to an IB school there. And so when we were making the transition over to Victoria, just because GNS was an IB school, we were initially drawn to it. And then it also has a lot of good programs, such as the science fair program. So we were kind of interested in both the extracurriculars that were available, as well as the IB program that it does have.
Okay, and then do you know how they found out about GNS while being in Hong Kong?
So we were in Singapore when we found out about GNS, but the way we found it out was we just Googled kind of IB schools in Victoria.
Awesome. That always works.
Yeah. So you're trying to keep the curriculum consistent.
Right. Okay. And what would you say you most appreciate having attended GNS?
I think that the sense of community was really important for me, especially because all of the teachers were really supportive. I think something else was, again, the science fair program, just because it gave me that opportunity that I know that a lot of schools don't do.
Okay. And if you had to compare GNS with other private schools, what do you think differentiates GNS from other schools?
Okay, I would say that the, like again, the solid science fair program was really something that I thought that GNS had that a lot of other schools I have heard don't have, as well as the IB program.
Okay, okay. And this is a bit of a tough question, but if the school were to be personified, if it was a single person that we could get to know, how would you describe it in 3 words?
Yeah, so I think that's exciting because there's always a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of extracurriculars as well as a lot of opportunities in classes to work on projects. So there's always something going on. Community oriented, because I did find that there was a solid sense of community at the school because you know everybody in your grade. I think my graduating class was around 70 students. So it was quite a small, close-knit community. And then I think I said driven. That's just because of the IB program, and obviously there's some academic drive that goes behind that.
Right. And what would you say is the school's highest value that you saw in actual practice, so that you saw on a day-to-day basis?
I think that, again, like the sense of community, so every teacher was really passionate about making sure that all of their students succeeded. And so I think that that's something that I definitely noticed every day.
And do you think the size of the school had a part to play in that? You said there was about 70 people that graduated.
Yeah, so I think that that was a big contributor to that because of the smaller class sizes.
Hmm.
Um, Especially in the later years when I was in the IB program, we had kind of small cohorts for each class. So the sense of community within those classes was really strong, and the teachers were really passionate about making sure that every student succeeded in those classes.
Okay, awesome. And what do you think families or potential students would find most surprising about GNS?
Surprising. I guess that for a relatively small school, there's still a lot of things happening. Um, there's a lot of clubs and opportunities and extracurriculars, despite kind of having those smaller classes as well.
And how would you describe the typical student at GNS if you were supposed to paint a picture?
Um, I think there's a huge variety, so I don't know if I could narrow it down to one particular type of person. But I think that everybody is very community minded. I think that was something that stood out.
Okay. And what kind of things do they do in the community?
Well, there's lots of opportunities, especially because GNS is connected to a lot of outreach programs like Round Square for students to get involved in kind of international and local charities and projects.
Okay. And how do you think GNS shaped you as a person?
I think that it definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone in terms of like public speaking and kind of the leadership opportunities that I was able to take on in the different clubs that I participated in. So I think that it definitely pushed me to be more outgoing and confident in my academics as well as in my extracurricular like leadership roles as well.
Okay. And you've mentioned, your involvement in science while at GNS, but is there like a single activity or single group or club that you joined that pushed you to be more outgoing, as you said?
Yeah, so I think that the Science Fair Club run by Erin Dallin was a really important part of that community and the sense of leadership that I found at GNS. So I participated in the Science Fair when I was in grade 11. And then with a team from GNS, we were actually able to go to the Canada-wide Science Fair and present our projects there. And then later in grade 12, I acted as kind of like a science fair peer coach, helping students prepare their projects to go to science fair.
Okay, awesome. And if there is one thing you could change about the school, what would that be?
I guess I would try and make the science fair program a little bit bigger. In terms of mandatory science fair, I know that every grade 9 student takes part, but I think that expanding it to younger years would also be a great opportunity to kind of boost that confidence in science from an earlier age.
Okay. And now you are 2 years removed from GNS. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now you've spent some time out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
How would you say your perspective on GNS has evolved over time?
I think that like comparing my high school experience to my peers' high school experience, I saw that I had a lot more opportunity to get involved in research, especially because I'm in a science program. It's kind of what everybody compares. And I think that compared to a lot of other schools, GNS does have that opportunity that is a little bit different.
Hmm. And would you recommend the school to prospective students?
Yeah, definitely.
And what would be the three biggest reasons why?
Goodness. I think that like the sense of community is really important, especially like I mentioned, because it's a smaller school, you have that attention from all the teachers as well.
Hmm.
I think that the just amount of different activities that you can get involved in. I personally wasn't involved in a lot of sports activities, but GNS definitely has a lot of those things you can get involved in. But we also have arts and science. So I think that there's a good variety there. Um, and I guess also the IB program was a really important factor in my decision to attend GNS.
Okay. And what would you say to a family that's considering sending their child to GNS?
I guess I would suggest that they take a look at the extracurriculars that are available and also Regents of the IB program, because I think those were the two biggest reasons that my family chose to go to GNS over other schools.
Okay. And your personal experience, you seem to be very science focused, but even for students that aren't, there's other opportunities there for them. You mentioned sports. And what about the arts and music?
Yeah, so there's definitely other areas. I was just kind of focused in one track when I was in high school.
Yeah.
But through like my involvement with the newspaper, we have like a journalism club. There's also an art club, band, and a variety of different sports. I'm just not the person to speak to that, I don't think.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. And lastly, what would be your one piece of advice to a student that is just about to enter GNS?
I guess I would suggest that they reach out to their classmates. When I first moved to GNS, I was a little bit nervous, kind of going to a new school. I think that's always the way it is. But I think that especially at GNS, it's a really welcoming community. So you can easily ask for help from your teachers as well as your classmates.
Mhm.